The rain hammered against my windshield as I pulled into the parking lot of Frisco Elite Academy, my worn Ford Explorer looking out of place among the parade of Mercedes and BMWs. Thursday afternoon pickup duty. Usually Amanda handled the mornings, and I took care of afternoons, a system that worked perfectly with my schedule at Wells Fargo. Noah and Ethan would be bouncing off the walls by now, ready to tell me about their day in that rapid-fire way 7-year-olds had perfected. I grabbed my umbrella and jogged toward the entrance, dodging puddles and other parents making the same mad dash. The academy's marble lobby felt like a cathedral, all soaring ceilings and hushed voices. Rich families paying for rich experiences. Amanda had insisted on this place when we moved to Frisco 3 years ago. The boys deserve the best education, she'd said, and I couldn't argue with that logic. My salary as a senior financial advisor could handle the tuition, barely. Mr. Brooks? I turned to see Mrs. Patricia Wilson, the twins' second-grade teacher, walking toward me with an expression I couldn't quite read. Professional concern, maybe? She was a veteran educator, probably in her 50s, with the kind of warm demeanor that made kids feel safe. Mrs. Wilson, hello. How are the boys doing today? Well, that's actually what I wanted to discuss with you. She glanced around the lobby, noting the handful of other parents within earshot. Could we step into my classroom for a moment? I have some concerns I'd like to share. My stomach dropped. Is everything okay? Are they hurt? No, nothing like that. They're fine physically, it's just... Well, some things they've mentioned have me a bit worried. I followed her down the hallway, my mind racing through possibilities. Had they gotten into trouble? Bullying? Academic issues? The boys were good kids. Mischievous sometimes, sure, but never anything serious. Mrs. Wilson's classroom smelled like crayons and hand sanitizer. Colorful artwork covered every available wall space, and tiny desks arranged in perfect rows faced the whiteboard. She gestured for me to sit in one of the adult-sized chairs near her desk. Mr. Brooks, I want to preface this by saying that Noah and Ethan are wonderful children. They're bright, well-behaved, and generally very happy. But over the past few weeks, they've made some comments that have concerned me. What kind of comments? She pulled out a small notebook from her desk drawer. Well, last Tuesday during sharing time, Noah mentioned visiting Mommy's other house and how much fun it was. When I asked him about it, he said it was where Mommy goes for work meetings, but the way he described it, it sounded very much like a home environment rather than an office. Other house? I felt my pulse quicken. We only have one house. That's what I suspected. And then yesterday, Ethan talked about swimming at Uncle Mike's house and how Uncle Mike taught him to do a cannonball. He said Mommy takes them there sometimes for her work meetings, and that Uncle Mike makes really good snacks. Uncle Mike? The name hit me like a punch to the gut. Amanda had mentioned a client named Mike Harrison several times over the past few months. Harrison Properties, she'd said. Some high-end real estate development project she was consulting on. Mrs. Wilson, when you say they visit this house, how often are we talking about? From what I can piece together from their conversations, it seems like it might be a regular thing. Maybe once a week? They seem very comfortable there, very familiar with the routine. Noah mentioned that Uncle Mike has a big TV in the basement where they watch movies while Mommy has her meetings upstairs. Upstairs. Meetings. My mouth went dry. I hope you don't mind me bringing this up, Mrs. Wilson continued, but in my 23 years of teaching, I've learned to pay attention when children describe situations that don't quite add up. Sometimes kids see things differently than adults, but they're usually remarkably accurate about the basic facts. No, I appreciate you telling me. Really? I stood up, my legs feeling unsteady. I'll definitely look into this. I'm sure there's a perfectly reasonable explanation. Mrs. Brooks mentioned she's in marketing consulting, so perhaps this client has become something of a family friend? Perhaps. The word came out harsher than I intended. Where are the boys now? They're in the aftercare program. Would you like me to call them? Yes, please. While she made the call, I stared out the classroom window at the parking lot, my mind churning. Amanda's Thursday afternoon client meetings had become a regular thing over the past couple of months. She'd started staying out later, coming home energized and distracted. When I'd asked about her work, she'd been enthusiastic about this Mike Harrison character and his innovative approach to residential marketing. "Daddy!" Noah's voice snapped me back to the present. Both boys barreled into the classroom, backpacks flying behind them. "Hey guys, ready to go home?" "Can we get ice cream?" Ethan asked, bouncing on his toes. "We'll see. Say goodbye to Mrs. Wilson." In the car, I decided to test the waters carefully. The last thing I wanted was to alarm them or make them feel like they'd done something wrong. "So how was school today?" "Good. We learned about butterflies," Noah said from the back seat. "Did you know they taste with their feet?" "That's gross," Ethan chimed in. "But cool." "That is pretty cool. Hey, Mrs. Wilson mentioned you guys have been talking about visiting somewhere with Mom. For her work?" "Oh yeah, Uncle Mike's house." Noah's voice brightened. "He has the best pool ever. It's huge and it has this waterfall thing." "Uncle Mike sounds fun. What's he like?" "He's really nice," Ethan said. "He taught me how to do a proper dive, and he always has good snacks. Not the healthy stuff Mom usually brings. Real snacks like Oreos and fruit gummies. And he has this awesome basement," Noah added. "It's like a movie theater, but better. We watched The Incredibles last time while Mom and Uncle Mike had their meeting upstairs." "Upstairs?" There it was again. "How many times have you been to Uncle Mike's house?" The boys looked at each other in that silent communication way twins had mastered. "I don't know," Noah said finally. "A bunch of times, usually on Thursdays when you pick us up from school." "Usually on Thursdays." My hands tightened on the steering wheel. "Is Uncle Mike Mom's friend?" Ethan asked innocently. "He's her client, buddy. Someone she works with." "Oh, well, he's really nice. He said next time we come over he might set up the slip and slide in the backyard." I forced a smile. "That sounds fun." But inside, my world was cracking apart. That evening, Amanda came home around 7:30, just as I was finishing cleanup from dinner. She looked radiant, hair perfectly styled, makeup fresh, wearing a dress I didn't recognize. "Sorry I'm late," she said, kissing my cheek. "The meeting with Mike ran longer than expected. We're finalizing the marketing strategy for his new development in Plano." "How did it go?" "Really well. He's incredibly ambitious. This project could be huge for his company." She opened the refrigerator and pulled out a bottle of white wine. "Did you eat already?" "The boys and I had spaghetti. There's some left if you want." "I'm not really hungry. Mike took me to this amazing sushi place to discuss the campaign over dinner. You'd love it. Very upscale." Mike took her to dinner. My chest tightened. "Where are the boys?" she asked, pouring herself a generous glass of wine. "Upstairs getting ready for bed. They had a good day at school." "Great. I'll go say goodnight in a minute." She settled onto the couch with her wine, checking her phone. I noticed she was smiling at whatever she was reading. "Amanda, can I ask you something?" "Mm-hmm." She didn't look up from her phone. "The boys mentioned visiting Mike's house for your meetings." Her fingers stopped moving across the screen, but she didn't look up. "What about it?" "I just thought it was interesting that you're meeting at his house instead of an office. He works from home a lot. Big developers often do. Besides, his house has this amazing view of Lake Louisville, very inspiring for the marketing materials." She finally looked up, her expression carefully neutral. "Why? Is there a problem?" "No problem. I was just curious. The boys really seem to like him. He's wonderful with children, very family-oriented. His own kids live with his ex-wife in Austin, so I think he enjoys having Noah and Ethan around." "His ex-wife?" "He's divorced. Has been for about 2 years now." She stood up. I should go say goodnight to the boys. After she disappeared upstairs, I sat alone in our living room, staring at the family photos on the mantel. 12 years of marriage, 12 years of building a life together, of shared dreams and mutual respect. Or so I'd thought. I pulled out my phone and typed Harrison Properties into Google. The company website was sleek and professional, featuring photos of luxury condominiums and single-family homes throughout the Dallas area. Mike Harrison's bio described him as a visionary developer committed to creating premium living spaces that enhance communities. The photo showed a handsome man in his early 40s with salt and pepper hair and an expensive smile. I dug deeper, finding news articles about his recent projects and a brief mention of his divorce settlement from 2023. According to public records, he'd paid his ex-wife $2.1 million, suggesting he was doing quite well financially. The next morning, I got to the office early and called my friend Dave Sweeney, who worked in commercial real estate lending at Chase. Tyler, how's life in the suburbs treating you? Can't complain. Listen, Dave, I need a favor. What can you tell me about Harrison Properties? Mike Harrison specifically. Harrison, good reputation in the industry, solid financials, completed projects on time and under budget. Why? Amanda's doing some consulting work for him. Just wanted to make sure he's legitimate. Oh, he's legitimate all right. Worth about $15 million, I'd guess. Nice guy too. Met him at a few industry events. Recently divorced though. Heard the settlement was brutal. Divorced? Yeah, messy situation from what I understand. His ex claimed he was having affairs, but nothing was ever proven in court. Why the interest? Just due diligence. Thanks, Dave. Anytime. Hey, we should get together soon. Sarah's been asking about Amanda. Definitely. I'll call you. I hung up and stared at my computer screen, but the numbers on my financial reports might as well have been hieroglyphics. My mind was elsewhere, replaying every Thursday afternoon for the past 2 months. Amanda's new clothes, her improved mood. The way she'd started working out more, paying extra attention to her appearance. And my sons, innocently swimming in another man's pool while their mother had meetings upstairs. I needed more information. During my lunch break, I drove to the address I'd found for Harrison Properties. It was a modest office building in Legacy West. Nothing fancy, but professional. I parked across the street and called the main number. Harrison Properties, this is Jennifer. Hi, I was wondering if Mike Harrison was available for a quick consultation. I'm looking at some investment properties in the area. I'm sorry, but Mr. Harrison is working from home today. Would you like to schedule an appointment for next week? Working from home? Of course. What about Amanda Brooks? I believe she handles marketing? Oh yes, Mrs. Brooks. She's actually at a site visit with Mr. Harrison today. Can I take a message? No message, I'll call back. Site visit. On a Thursday, while my sons were in school. That afternoon I picked up Noah and Ethan as usual, but instead of heading straight home, I made a detour. Where are we going, Dad? Noah asked. I thought we'd get some ice cream and maybe drive around a bit. Check out some of the nice neighborhoods. I'd found Mike Harrison's home address through the county property records. He lived in Willow Bend, one of Plano's most exclusive communities. The house sat on a corner lot, a sprawling Mediterranean-style mansion with a circular driveway and immaculate landscaping. Wow, that's a big house, Ethan said as we drove slowly past. Sure is. What do you think it might cost? $1 million? Noah guessed. Probably more than that. I pulled into a parking spot at a nearby grocery store and called Amanda. Hey, how's the site visit going? Good. Really productive. Mike's showing me the new development in McKinney today. McKinney? That's pretty far. Not too bad. About 30 minutes from his house? His house, not his office. What time do you think you'll be home? Probably around 6. We still have 2 more sites to visit. Okay, Love you. Love you too. I sat in the parking lot for a long time after hanging up, watching other families go about their normal Thursday afternoon routines. Soccer practice, grocery shopping, homework. Simple, honest lives. Not elaborate deceptions involving real estate developers and innocent children. That evening, I was determined to dig deeper, but carefully. I waited until Amanda was in the shower before approaching the boys. Hey guys, can I ask you something about Uncle Mike's house? They looked up from their Legos, eager to share. What do you want to know? Noah asked. Well, I was wondering what the inside looks like. You mentioned a basement? It's so cool. Ethan's eyes lit up. It has this huge TV and really comfortable couches, and there's a popcorn machine. A popcorn machine? Wow. What about the rest of the house? It's really big, Noah said. The kitchen has 2 ovens, and upstairs there are lots of bedrooms. Have you seen the bedrooms? Just from the hallway when we're looking for the bathroom. Uncle Mike's room is really big. It has this enormous bed and windows that look out at the pool. My heart was pounding, but I kept my voice casual. Sounds like a nice house. Do you and Mom spend a lot of time there? Usually a couple hours, Noah said. We swim and watch movies while Mom and Uncle Mike work upstairs. Work upstairs in his bedroom? I guess. They're always up there for their meetings. The bathroom door opened upstairs, and I heard Amanda moving around in our bedroom. Okay, guys, back to your Legos. Bath time in 30 minutes. I went to the kitchen and poured myself a scotch, my hands shaking slightly. 12 years of marriage, and I'd never suspected a thing. Had I been that oblivious? Or had Amanda simply gotten that good at lying? My phone buzzed with a text message from an unknown number. Mr. Brooks, this is Janet Foster, private investigator. I got your name from Dave Sweeney. He said you might need some professional services. Please call if you'd like to discuss. Dave must have read between the lines during our conversation about Mike Harrison. Good friends had a way of knowing when something was wrong. I stepped outside onto our back patio and dialed the number. Foster Investigations. This is Tyler Brooks. Dave Sweeney referred me. Mr. Brooks, yes. I understand you might need some assistance with a personal matter. I think my wife is having an affair. I'm sorry to hear that. How can I help? I need proof. Real proof, not just suspicions. What kind of evidence do you have so far? I told her about the boys' stories, Amanda's Thursday routine, and the meeting patterns that didn't add up. That's actually quite a bit to work with, Janet said. Children are often the most reliable witnesses in these situations. They don't lie about what they see. What would surveillance involve? Basic surveillance package includes following the subject, photographing any interactions, documenting timelines, and providing you with a comprehensive report. If there's an affair happening, we'll get proof. How much? $1,500 for a week of surveillance. If we don't find anything definitive, I'll refund half. Do it. I'll need some basic information, her vehicle, typical schedule, photos of both your wife and the suspected partner. Can you email those to me tonight? Absolutely. One more thing, Mr. Brooks. Once we start this process, there's no going back. Whatever we find, you'll have to deal with it. Are you prepared for that? I looked through the sliding glass door at Amanda, who was downstairs now, helping the boys with their bath. She was laughing at something Ethan had said, looking like the loving mother and devoted wife I'd thought I married. Yes, I need to know the truth. I'll be in touch tomorrow. I went back inside and tried to act normal for the rest of the evening, but every interaction with Amanda felt like a performance. When she kissed me goodnight, I wondered if she'd kissed Mike Harrison earlier that day. When she mentioned her plans for the next day's client presentations, I wondered what she was really planning. At 2 a.m, I was still awake, staring at the ceiling. Amanda slept peacefully beside me, occasionally murmuring something in her sleep. Once, I could have sworn she said, Mike. The next morning, I sent Janet everything she'd requested. Photos, license plate number, Amanda's schedule, Mike Harrison's address. Then I went to work and tried to focus on my clients' portfolios instead of my disintegrating marriage. Janet called me around noon. Mr. Brooks, I've started preliminary surveillance. Your wife left your house at 9:15 this morning and went to a Starbucks in Legacy West, where she met with a blonde woman for about an hour. Then she went to Mike Harrison's house. His house? It's Friday. Yes, she's been there for 2 hours now. His car is in the driveway, and I photographed her entering through the front door. Are my sons with her? No, she was alone. So the Thursday routine with the boys was just one part of it. She was seeing him other days too. I'll continue surveillance and update you this evening. The rest of the day crawled by. I must have checked my phone 100 times waiting for updates. Around 4 o'clock, Amanda texted me. Running errands this afternoon. Pick up boys from school as usual? Running errands. I texted back, sure, no problem. When I picked up Noah and Ethan, they seemed subdued. Everything okay, guys? Mom was supposed to take us to Uncle Mike's house today, Noah said. But Mrs. Patterson, their babysitter, picked us up instead. Maybe Mom had other work to do. Yeah, probably, Ethan agreed, but he sounded disappointed. That evening, Amanda came home around 6 with shopping bags from Nordstrom. Successful day of errands, I observed. Very. I found some great things for the marketing presentation next week. She showed me several expensive outfits. Mike wants me to present to his investors, so I need to look professional. These look expensive. It's an investment. If this project goes well, it could lead to a lot more work. How much more work are you planning to take on with Harrison Properties? She paused in hanging up her new clothes. What do you mean? I just wondered if you're planning to make them your primary client. You've been spending a lot of time on their projects. Mike has big plans. This could turn into a long-term consulting contract. That's great. I tried to sound supportive. How long-term are we talking? Hard to say. Maybe 6 months. Maybe longer. 6 months of Thursday afternoon. Meetings with my sons. 6 months of Friday errands. 6 months of lies. Janet called me after Amanda had gone to bed. Mr. Brooks, I have some preliminary findings. Your wife spent 3 hours at Mike Harrison's residence today. I was able to photograph them together on his back patio around 2 p.m. The interaction appeared intimate, holding hands, kissing. Kissing? Yes. I also followed her to Nordstrom afterward, where she spent approximately $800 on clothing. The receipts show the purchases were made on a credit card registered to Harrison Properties. He bought her clothes? It appears so. I have photos of the transaction if you need them. What about next week? I'll continue surveillance Monday through Friday. If the pattern holds, I should have comprehensive documentation by the end of next week. Thank you. Mr. Brooks, I'm sorry. I know this isn't easy. It wasn't easy. It was devastating, but it was also clarifying. For the first time in months, I knew exactly what I was dealing with. I spent the weekend in a strange state of hyper-awareness, watching Amanda for signs I'd previously missed. The way she smiled when her phone buzzed, the way she'd started working out religiously, the new lingerie that had appeared in her dresser drawer. On Sunday, while she was at yoga, I searched her home office. Tucked inside a folder labeled Harrison Properties Marketing Materials, I found copies of invoices she'd submitted to Mike's company over the past 4 months. $23,000 in consulting fees. For a marketing consultant, that was excellent money. I also found a real estate brochure for luxury condominiums in Mike's latest development. Someone had circled a 3-bedroom unit on the top floor. The price? $650,000. On Monday morning, I called my lawyer. Kevin, it's Tyler Brooks. Tyler, how are things? Haven't heard from you since that real estate closing last year. Things are complicated. I need to ask you about divorce law. There was a pause. I'm sorry to hear that. What's going on? I think Amanda is having an affair. I've hired a private investigator, and it looks like I'm going to have evidence soon. Okay, walk me through what you know. I told him everything. The boys' innocent revelations, Janet's surveillance findings, the financial irregularities. Tyler, this is actually a fairly strong case, especially with the children involved. Texas is a no-fault divorce state, so the affair itself doesn't impact property division, but it could definitely affect custody if she's exposing the boys to inappropriate situations. What kind of custody arrangement could I expect? Given what you've described, you'd have a good chance at primary custody. The fact that she's taking the children to her paramour's house for what they believe are work meetings could be seen as poor judgment by a judge. How long does the process take? Depends on how much she wants to fight it. If it's uncontested, maybe 6 months. If she fights for custody or property, could be a year or more. What should I do in the meantime? Document everything. Keep records of her schedule, her time with the children, any financial irregularities. Don't confront her until you have all your evidence together. And Tyler? Yeah? I'm sorry, man. I know this has to be hell. Thanks, Kevin. Call me when you're ready to file. Janet's surveillance continued through the week, and the evidence mounted steadily. Tuesday, 3 hours at Mike's house, followed by lunch at an upscale restaurant in Southlake. Wednesday, shopping trip together to a jewelry store, where Mike purchased Amanda a bracelet worth approximately $1,200. Thursday, the usual routine with the boys, but Janet's photographs showed Amanda and Mike in intimate conversation while Noah and Ethan played in the pool. They're not even trying to hide it anymore, Janet told me Thursday evening. The body language, the physical contact. This is definitely an established relationship. How long do you think it's been going on? Based on their comfort level together, I'd guess several months. Maybe longer. What about the children? Are they safe? From what I can observe, yes. Mr. Harrison seems to treat them well, and they appear happy and comfortable around him. But Mr. Brooks, they're definitely being used as cover for the affair. The boys think they're going to work meetings, but they're actually providing a reason for your wife to spend time at her lover's house. That's what I thought. I'll have a comprehensive report for you by Friday, including photographs, timeline documentation, and financial records I've been able to verify. Friday afternoon, I sat in my office reviewing Janet's report. 27 pages of detailed evidence, including photographs that left no doubt about the nature of Amanda's relationship with Mike Harrison. The financial records showed that she'd been billing him for consulting services on days when the surveillance showed them shopping, dining, or spending time at his house without any business activities. The most damning photos showed Amanda and Mike in his backyard pool with my sons. While Noah and Ethan played with pool toys, Amanda and Mike were clearly engaged in intimate physical contact, kissing, embracing, acting like a couple. My 7-year-old boys were unwitting accessories to their mother's affair. I called Kevin. I have the evidence. How definitive? Photos, financial records, timeline documentation. No question about what's happening. Are you ready to proceed? I looked out my office window at the Dallas skyline, thinking about the life Amanda and I had built together. The house in Frisco, the dreams we'd shared, the future we'd planned. Yes, file the papers. I'll need you to come in Monday morning to review everything and sign the documents. Tyler, once we file, she'll be served within a few days. Are you prepared for that confrontation? I've been preparing for it all week. What about the boys? That's my primary concern. I want to minimize the impact on them as much as possible. We'll ask for temporary custody pending the final settlement. Given the evidence, I'm confident we can get it. Kevin, there's something else. I want to make sure Mike Harrison faces consequences too. What kind of consequences? Professional ones, business ones. I want him to understand that actions have consequences. Tyler, be careful. Don't do anything that could hurt your custody case. I'm not talking about anything illegal, but Mike Harrison has built his business on his reputation. Maybe it's time that reputation reflected the truth about his character. What are you thinking? I have contacts throughout the financial services industry in Dallas. Real estate developers depend on relationships with banks, investors, and financial advisors. If those relationships became complicated, it might impact his business prospects. Just don't do anything that could be construed as harassment or interference with his business. I won't. But Mike Harrison is about to learn that there are consequences for breaking up families. That weekend, I began making phone calls. My first call was to Dave Sweeney at Chase. Dave, remember that conversation we had about Mike Harrison? Sure. Did your wife's consulting project work out? In a manner of speaking. Dave, I need to tell you something, and I need you to keep it confidential for now. Amanda's having an affair with Harrison. Jesus, Tyler, I'm sorry. I'm filing for divorce Monday. But here's the thing. I have evidence that she's been billing him for consulting work while they were actually conducting their affair. Some of those bills were for days when they were shopping together or spending time at his house with my kids. That's fraud. Exactly. And it makes me wonder what other ethical corners Harrison might be cutting in his business practices. Tyler, what are you asking me to do? I'm not asking you to do anything improper, but if Harrison comes looking for financing in the future, you might want to be extra careful about your due diligence. A man who's willing to involve someone else's children in an affair might not be the most trustworthy business partner. I understand. Thanks, Dave. I appreciate it. I made similar calls to 4 other friends in commercial real estate, banking, and investment services. I wasn't asking anyone to do anything unethical or illegal. I was simply sharing information about Mike Harrison's character and suggesting they might want to be cautious in any future business dealings. By Sunday evening, word was beginning to circulate through Dallas's tight-knit real estate finance community that Mike Harrison might not be the family-oriented professional his marketing materials claimed. Monday morning, I signed the divorce papers and Kevin filed them with the court. Amanda would be served at home that afternoon while I was at work and the boys were at school. I was in a client meeting when she called. Tyler, what the hell is this? I think you know what it is. You can't be serious. You're filing for divorce? Amanda, I know about Mike. There was a long silence. You know about what? I know about the affair. I know about the Thursday afternoon visits to his house with the boys. I know about the shopping trips and the jewelry and the consulting fees for work you never performed. You've been spying on me. I've been protecting my sons. Tyler, you don't understand. Mike and I, we're just friends. The business relationship... Amanda, I have photographs. Another silence. We need to talk. Yes, we do, but not until after you've spoken with your lawyer. Tyler, please, can't we work this out? Think about the boys. I am thinking about the boys. That's why I'm getting them away from this situation. You can't take my children away from me. I'm not taking them away, but I'm not going to let you continue using them as cover for your affair. She hung up. 20 minutes later, Mike Harrison called my office. Mr. Brooks, this is Mike Harrison. I think we need to talk. I don't think we have anything to discuss. I think we do. I understand you're upset, but there are things you don't understand about the situation. What don't I understand, Mike? Help me out. Amanda and I, we care about each other. This isn't some casual thing. You care about each other. How thoughtful. Do you also care about the fact that you've been using my 7-year-old sons as props in your relationship? The boys are great kids. I would never do anything to hurt them. You already have hurt them. You've put them in the middle of an adult situation they're too young to understand. You've made them complicit in lying to their father. Tyler, that wasn't our intention. I don't care about your intentions, I care about my children. Look, maybe we can work something out. Amanda's going to need support through this transition. Mike, let me be very clear about something. As of today, your relationship with my wife is going to cost you more than you ever imagined. You wanted to play house with another man's family? Now you get to pay the price. Are you threatening me? I'm informing you. You see, Mike, you made a mistake. You assumed I was just some suburban dad who wouldn't fight back. But I'm not just some suburban dad. I'm a senior financial advisor with a lot of connections in this city. And those connections are very interested to learn about your character. What are you talking about? I'm talking about the fact that by this time tomorrow, every major commercial lender and real estate investor in Dallas is going to know exactly what kind of man Mike Harrison really is. Good luck with your future projects. I hung up before he could respond. That afternoon, I picked up Noah and Ethan from school as usual. They seemed subdued, probably picking up on the tension at home. Dad, is Mom okay? Noah asked as we drove home. She seemed upset when we left for school this morning. Mom's going through some grown-up problems right now, buddy. But you and Ethan don't need to worry about that. Is it because of Uncle Mike? I almost swerved off the road. Why would you ask that? I don't know. Mom's been acting different since we started going to his house. Happier, but also weird. Weird how? Like she's keeping secrets, Ethan chimed in. She tells us not to talk about Uncle Mike's house at school or with you. Amanda had been coaching them to lie. My hands tightened on the steering wheel. Boys, listen to me. From now on, I want you to always tell me the truth, okay? Even if someone else tells you not to. Especially if someone else tells you not to. Okay, Dad. Are we in trouble? Ethan asked quietly. No, sweetheart. You're not in trouble at all. None of this is your fault. When we got home, Amanda's car was in the driveway. I could see her pacing in the living room through the front window. Boys, why don't you go up to your room and start your homework? I'll be up in a few minutes to help. They rushed upstairs, clearly sensing the tension. Amanda was waiting for me in the living room, a stack of legal papers on the coffee table. Tyler, we need to talk about this. Okay, let's talk. You can't seriously want to destroy our marriage over this. Amanda, you destroyed our marriage. I'm just filing the paperwork. It's not what you think. It's exactly what I think. You've been having an affair with Mike Harrison for months. You've been using our sons as cover for your relationship. You've been lying to me, to them, and to yourself. Mike and we have feelings for each other. Congratulations. That doesn't change anything. Tyler, I love you. I love our family. But Mike understands me in ways that you don't. Understands you how? By buying you expensive clothes and jewelry? By letting you play house with someone else's children? It's not like that. Then tell me what it's like, Amanda. Explain to me how taking our sons to your lover's house for work meetings was in their best interest. She couldn't answer that. I want custody of the boys, she said finally. You're not getting it. They're my children too. They're children who've been exposed to an inappropriate adult relationship because their mother made poor choices. No judge is going to award custody to someone who uses her kids as alibis for affairs. That's not what happened. That's exactly what happened. Noah and Ethan think Uncle Mike is your client. They think his house is your office. They think watching movies in his basement while you have meetings upstairs is normal business procedure. Amanda started crying. Tyler, please. I made mistakes, but I love those boys. I know you do. And you'll still be their mother. But you won't be their primary parent anymore. This is all Mike's fault. He pursued me. Mike's fault? Amanda, you're a grown woman. You made choices. I was unhappy. Our marriage was routine, predictable. Mike made me feel alive again. So you decided to drag our children into your midlife crisis. I never meant for them to get involved. But they did get involved, and that's unforgivable. She wiped her eyes. What happens now? Now you get a lawyer and we work out the details. Custody, property division, support. And Mike? What about Mike? Are you going to try to hurt him? Amanda, Mike is a grown man who made the conscious decision to break up a family. He can deal with the consequences. Tyler, please don't do anything that might hurt his business. Why would you care about his business? Because I care about him. More than you care about your sons? That's not fair. It's completely fair. You chose Mike over your family. Now you get to live with that choice. She gathered up the legal papers. I'm going to stay at my sister's tonight. That's probably best. When will you tell the boys? Tomorrow. Together. We'll explain that sometimes marriages don't work out, but that both of us will always love them. Tyler, I'm sorry. I really am. I know you are, but sorry doesn't fix this. After she left, I went upstairs to help the boys with their homework. They were both quiet, clearly aware that something significant was happening between their parents. Dad, are you and Mom getting divorced? Noah asked as I checked his math worksheet. What makes you ask that? Some kids at school have divorced parents. They said their parents fought a lot before it happened. I set down his pencil and pulled both boys close to me on Noah's bed. Boys, your mom and I are having some serious problems. We're probably going to live in different houses for a while. Because of Uncle Mike? Ethan asked. It's complicated, buddy. But I want you to understand that none of this is your fault. Sometimes grown-ups make mistakes, and sometimes those mistakes hurt the people they love. Will we still see Mom? Noah asked. Of course. She's your mother, and she loves you very much. But you'll be living here with me most of the time. What about Uncle Mike? I chose my words carefully. You probably won't be spending time with Uncle Mike anymore. Why not? We like him. I know you do. But Uncle Mike was never really Mom's work friend. He was something else. They were too young to understand the full truth, but old enough to sense that they'd been part of something that wasn't quite right. Will we still go to the same school? Ethan asked. Yes. Everything else in your life will stay the same. Same school, same friends, same house, same dad. Okay, Noah said quietly. Are you scared? I asked them. They nodded. It's okay to be scared. Big changes are scary, even when they're the right thing to do. But I promise you, I will always take care of you. Always. That night, after the boys were asleep, I sat in my study reviewing Janet Foster's surveillance report one more time. The evidence was overwhelming, but it was also heartbreaking. How had I missed so many signs? How had 12 years of marriage deteriorated to this point without me noticing? My phone rang. Kevin Williams. Tyler, I wanted to update you on the filing. Amanda's been served and her lawyer called my office this afternoon. Who's representing her? Patricia Simmons. She's good, expensive, but fair. This probably won't get ugly, which is better for everyone. What did she want to discuss? Preliminary custody arrangement. They're not going to fight the primary custody request, but they want generous visitation. That's reasonable. They also want to discuss property division. Amanda's claiming the consulting income from Harrison Properties as separate property. $23,000 in consulting income for an affair? That's what we'll argue. The timing and circumstances make it pretty clear that the payments weren't for legitimate business services. What about Harrison himself? Any response from him? Funny you should ask. I got a call from his lawyer today, too. Apparently, he's concerned about potential defamation issues. Defamation? For what? He claims you've been spreading false information about him in business circles. I haven't spread any false information. I've shared factual information about his character with business associates. Tyler, be careful. Don't give him ammunition for a counterattack. Kevin, Mike Harrison involved my children in his affair. I'm not going to apologize for making sure people know what kind of man he is. Just stick to the facts and don't make any statements you can't prove. Everything I've said can be proven. Good. I'll talk to you tomorrow. The next morning, I got a call from my assistant at Wells Fargo. Tyler, you have a visitor in the lobby. A Mike Harrison? I hadn't expected him to show up at my office. Bold move. Send him up to conference room B. I'll be there in a few minutes. I took my time walking to the conference room, wanting to project calm confidence. Mike Harrison was seated at the far end of the table, looking less polished than he had in his company photos. Good. Mike, this is unexpected. Tyler, I think we got off on the wrong foot yesterday. I don't think we got off on any foot at all. I think you've been sleeping with my wife for months while using my children as cover. It's not that simple. It's exactly that simple. He leaned forward. Look, I understand you're angry. But Amanda and I, what we have is real. We're in love. Congratulations. That doesn't change the fact that you involved my 7-year-old sons in your deception. We never meant for them to get caught in the middle. But they did get caught in the middle. They think your house is Amanda's office. They think watching movies in your basement while you two fool around upstairs is a normal work environment. Tyler, I care about those boys. If you cared about them, you would have stayed away from their mother. You don't understand. Amanda was unhappy. She felt trapped. So you rescued her? How noble. I gave her something she wasn't getting at home. You gave her an escape from responsibility. There's a difference. Mike stood up. Tyler, I want to be straight with you. Amanda and I are planning a future together. With your permission or without it. My permission? For what? We want to get married after your divorce is final. And you want my blessing for this? I want your cooperation, for the boys' sake. Mike, let me be very clear about something. You will never be a father figure to my sons. You will never have any authority over them. You will never again use them as props in your relationship with their mother. You can't control what happens during Amanda's visitation time. Actually, I can. It's called a morality clause. Amanda won't be allowed to have overnight guests when the boys are with her. She won't be allowed to expose them to romantic relationships for at least 18 months. You can't do that. I already have. It's in the divorce filing. Mike's composed demeanor cracked slightly. Tyler, you're making this more difficult than it needs to be. Am I? Let me tell you what's going to be difficult, Mike. Explaining to your business partners why your personal conduct makes you a liability. Explaining to potential investors why they should trust someone who involves children in affairs. Explaining to your industry colleagues why you can't separate business from pleasure. You're trying to ruin my business. I'm providing information about your character to people who might need to make informed decisions about working with you. That's interference with business relationships. That's transparency about personal conduct. Tyler, if you don't stop this campaign against me, I'll have no choice but to take legal action. What kind of legal action? Defamation. Tortious interference with business relationships. Mike, everything I've said about you is true and can be proven. You're welcome to try to sue me, but discovery in a defamation case would be very interesting. All those surveillance photos, financial records, phone records. Are you sure you want all of that in the public record? He glared at me for a long moment. This isn't over. Yes, it is. You're going to leave my office now, and you're never going to contact me again. Any future communication will go through lawyers. Amanda won't let you destroy what we have. Amanda doesn't get a vote anymore. She made her choice. After he left, I called Janet Foster. Janet, I need you to document any attempts by Mike Harrison or Amanda to contact me directly. If there's any hint of harassment or intimidation, I want it recorded. You think they might try something? Mike Harrison just threatened legal action against me. He's desperate. Desperate people make mistakes. I'll keep monitoring. Thanks. That afternoon, I picked up Noah and Ethan from school and took them to Chuck E. Cheese. We needed some normal family time before the real changes began. Dad, this is awesome, Noah said, clutching a handful of tokens. Why did you decide to bring us here today? Can't a dad take his boys out for pizza and games? You can, Ethan said, But you usually only bring us here for special occasions. Maybe today is a special occasion. We played skee ball and air hockey, ate mediocre pizza, and pretended that everything was normal. For 2 hours, it almost felt like it was. On the drive home, Noah asked the question I'd been dreading. Dad, when you and Mom get divorced, will we have to choose who to live with? No, buddy. The judge will decide what's best for you and Ethan. But I'm pretty sure you'll be living with me most of the time. What about Mom? You'll spend time with Mom too. Maybe every other weekend and some days during the week. Will she live with Uncle Mike? I don't know. That's up to her. I hope she doesn't, Ethan said quietly. Why not? Because then it would feel like she picked him instead of us. The innocence of that statement hit me like a physical blow. My 7-year-old son had grasped the fundamental betrayal that Amanda still seemed unable to acknowledge. Ethan, Mom didn't pick Uncle Mike instead of you. She made some bad choices, but she loves you and Noah very much. Then why did she lie to us about him? I didn't have a good answer for that. That evening, Amanda called to talk to the boys. I listened to their side of the conversation from the kitchen. Hi, Mom. Yeah, we had fun at Chuck E. Cheese. No, Dad didn't say anything bad about you. When are you coming home? Oh. Okay. Love you too. When they hung up, Noah came into the kitchen. Mom says she's going to be staying at Aunt Sarah's for a while. That's probably best for now. Dad, do you hate Mom? No, buddy, I don't hate her. I'm disappointed in her, and I'm hurt by some of the choices she made, but I don't hate her. Do you hate Uncle Mike? I don't like Uncle Mike very much right now. Because he took Mom away from us? Because he made some very bad choices that hurt our family. Will you ever forgive Mom? I thought about that for a moment. Someday, maybe. But forgiveness doesn't mean everything goes back to the way it was. I know. Tommy's parents got divorced last year, and he said it's weird, but not as bad as when they were fighting all the time. Were Mom and I fighting a lot? Not fighting exactly, but you stopped laughing together. Another insight from my 7-year-old that cut right to the heart of the matter. When had Amanda and I stopped laughing together? When had we become roommates instead of partners? The next few weeks fell into a strange routine. I got the boys ready for school in the morning, worked a full day at Wells Fargo, picked them up in the afternoon, helped with homework, made dinner, and handled bedtime routines. Amanda called every evening to talk to them, and she took them for dinner twice a week. The divorce proceedings moved forward with minimal drama. Patricia Simmons was professional and realistic, acknowledging that Amanda's position was weak given the evidence of the affair and the involvement of the children. We settled on a custody arrangement that gave me primary residence, with Amanda getting the boys every other weekend and one evening per week. The property division was straightforward since most of our assets were joint. Amanda kept her car and some personal items, and I kept the house and my retirement accounts. She was ordered to repay the $8,500 in personal expenses she'd charged to Harrison Properties, and the court ruled that her consulting income would be considered marital property subject to division. Mike Harrison's business began to suffer almost immediately. 3 different commercial lenders declined to finance his upcoming projects, citing concerns about management integrity. 2 potential investors pulled out of deals after learning about his personal conduct. His business partner, apparently unaware of the affair until word began circulating, demanded a meeting to discuss the company's reputation risk. I heard about these developments through my network of friends in the financial services industry. Word traveled fast in Dallas's tight-knit business community, especially when it involved someone who'd been careless enough to involve children in an affair. 6 weeks after filing for divorce, I got a call from Dave Sweeney. Tyler, thought you should know. Mike Harrison's company just lost the financing for their big McKinney project. The bank cited concerns about management reliability and judgment issues. Is that so? Yeah. Harrison tried to find alternative financing, but apparently the story has made its way around town. Nobody wants to touch him right now. Interesting. Tyler, I have to ask, are you behind this? Dave, I haven't done anything unethical or illegal. I've simply shared factual information about Mike Harrison's character with people who asked. The information being that he conducted an affair with a married mother and involved her 7-year-old children in the deception. That he paid for personal expenses related to the affair through business accounts. That his judgment regarding personal and professional boundaries is questionable. All true? All provable in court? Fair enough. Just wanted to make sure you're not crossing any lines. I'm not. But Mike Harrison is learning that actions have consequences. Amanda called me that evening, furious. Tyler, what are you doing to Mike's business? I'm not doing anything to Mike's business. His partner wants to buy him out. 3 deals have fallen through in the last month. People are calling him unreliable. Maybe people are making informed decisions about his character. You're destroying him. Amanda, I'm not destroying anyone. I'm protecting my sons and making sure the truth is known. The truth? What truth? The truth that Mike Harrison is the kind of man who involves other people's children in affairs. The truth that he has poor judgment about boundaries. The truth that he can't be trusted to separate personal desires from professional responsibilities. He's a good man, Tyler. No, Amanda, he's not. A good man doesn't break up families. A good man doesn't use children as cover for affairs. A good man doesn't put his personal gratification ahead of everyone else's well-being. You're being vindictive. I'm being protective. There's a difference. Tyler, please, Mike doesn't deserve this. What about what our sons deserve, Amanda? Do they deserve to have been used as props in your relationship? Do they deserve to have been coached to lie to their father? We never coached them to lie. You told them not to talk about Uncle Mike's house at school or with me. What would you call that? She was quiet for a long moment. I'm sorry about that. We handled it badly. Yes, you did. But that doesn't justify what you're doing to Mike's career. Amanda, let me ask you something. If the situation were reversed, if I had been having an affair and involving Noah and Ethan in deceptions, what would you have done? That's different. How is it different? You wouldn't have done that. You're right, I wouldn't have. But if I had, what would you have done? She couldn't answer. Amanda, you made choices. Mike made choices. Now you both get to live with the consequences. Tyler, I love him. I don't care who you love. I care about protecting my children from the fallout of your poor judgment. Our children. My children, Amanda. The court agreed with me. That weekend, the boys spent Saturday night with Amanda at her sister's house. When I picked them up Sunday afternoon, they seemed troubled. Dad, is Uncle Mike in trouble? Noah asked as we drove home. Why do you ask? Mom was crying on the phone with him last night. She said something about people being mean to him at work. Sometimes when adults make bad choices, there are consequences. Mom said you're making people be mean to Uncle Mike. I'm not making anyone do anything. I'm just making sure people know the truth about what happened. What is the truth? Ethan asked. I pulled into our driveway and turned to face them in the back seat. The truth is that Uncle Mike and Mom developed feelings for each other while she was married to me. The truth is that they spent time together in ways that weren't appropriate. And the truth is that they involved you boys in situations where you had to keep secrets from me. So we were helping them lie? Not on purpose, but yes, in a way. Is that why you're getting divorced? That's part of it. Are you mad at us? No, sweethearts. I'm not mad at you at all. None of this is your fault. But we liked going to Uncle Mike's house. I know you did, and that's okay. You didn't know that anything wrong was happening. Will we see him again? Probably not. Good, Noah said quietly. Why good? Because now I know he was using us to trick you. That's not nice. Again, my 7-year-old had grasped the essential truth that his mother still seemed to miss. 3 months after filing for divorce, the settlement was finalized. Amanda got standard visitation rights with the morality clause intact. No overnight guests when the children were present for the next 18 months. I got primary custody, the house, and most of our joint assets. Amanda was ordered to complete a parenting class focused on age-appropriate boundaries and child welfare. Mike Harrison's business partnership dissolved 2 weeks later. His partner bought him out for significantly less than the company was worth 6 months earlier. Mike tried to start a new development company, but the financing never materialized. Word was that he was considering leaving Dallas altogether. Amanda moved into a 1-bedroom apartment in Addison, about 20 minutes from our house in Frisco. She found part-time work with a small marketing firm, making about half what she'd earned as an independent consultant. Her relationship with Mike survived the business turmoil, but barely. The stress of his professional difficulties and her custody restrictions put strain on their great love affair. Life with Noah and Ethan settled into a new normal. I handled school drop-offs and pickups, homework supervision, little league practices, and weekend activities. They adapted to the new routine with the resilience of children, though they occasionally asked difficult questions about why their family had changed. 6 months after the divorce was final, I was coaching Noah and Ethan's little league team to the district championship. Both boys had grown more confident and independent, taking on additional responsibilities at home and excelling academically. Their teachers noted that they seemed more settled and focused than they had during the tumultuous period before the divorce. Amanda attended their games when her visitation schedule allowed, but she and I maintained strictly cordial interactions focused entirely on the children's needs. She never brought Mike to any school or sports events, a boundary I'd established through the court that she actually seemed to appreciate. One evening, as I was tucking the boys into bed, Ethan asked a question that had been weighing on my mind too. "Dad, do you think you'll ever get married again?" "I don't know, buddy. Maybe someday. Why?" "I just want to make sure that if you do, you pick someone who's nice to us and doesn't lie. If I ever get married again, I promise I'll choose very carefully, and I'll make sure you boys approve of her first." "Good. Because we know what to look for now." "What do you mean?" "We know the difference between someone who's pretending to be nice and someone who's really nice," Noah explained. "Uncle Mike was pretending. We can tell the difference now." "You're very smart, boys." "Dad, are you happy now?" Ethan asked. I thought about that question. Was I happy? The divorce had been devastating, the betrayal crushing. But looking at my sons, confident, honest, well-adjusted despite everything they'd been through, I realized that I was content in a way I hadn't been for months before the truth came out. "Yes, buddy, I'm happy. Are you?" "Yeah. Things are better now." "Even though Mom doesn't live here anymore?" "Even though. We know you'll always tell us the truth, and we know Mom loves us even if she made mistakes." "That's very mature." "We had to grow up a little," Noah said, matter-of-factly. A year later, I ran into Mike Harrison at a Starbucks in Legacy West. He looked older, more tired. I nodded politely and ordered my coffee, planning to leave without conversation. "Tyler," he called out as I headed for the door. I turned back. "Mike? How are the boys?" "They're fine." "Good. I wanted to say something to you." "Okay." "I wanted to apologize for involving them in the situation. That wasn't right." "No, it wasn't. I was thinking with my heart instead of my head. Amanda was so unhappy and I thought I was helping her. By breaking up her family? By giving her an escape. But I realize now that I was selfish. I should have encouraged her to work things out with you instead of pursuing her." "Yes, you should have. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. And I hope someday you can forgive me." I studied his face, looking for signs of manipulation or self-serving motivation. What I saw was genuine regret. "Mike, I don't hate you. But I will never forgive you for involving my children in your affair. That crossed a line that can't be uncrossed. I understand. I hope you learned something from this experience. I learned that there are consequences for every choice, and that some consequences last longer than others. Yes, they do. Are you and Amanda... Do you think you'll ever reconcile? No. What's broken can't be fixed. She misses the boys terribly. She sees them every week. It's not the same. No, it's not. But that's what happens when you choose an affair over your family. He nodded and looked down at his coffee. I heard you're seeing someone. I was, actually. Dr. Lisa Martinez, the elementary school principal. A relationship built on complete transparency and shared commitment to children's welfare. I am. I hope she makes you happy. She does. Good. You deserve that. I left him sitting alone in Starbucks, and I felt something I hadn't expected. Pity. Mike Harrison had gotten everything he thought he wanted. Amanda, freedom from his own marriage, the excitement of a forbidden relationship. But in the process, he'd lost his business, his reputation, and his place in the community. He'd discovered that stolen happiness never lasts. 2 years after our divorce was final, Amanda asked if we could modify the custody arrangement to allow her more time with the boys. By then, they were 9 years old, more capable of understanding complex situations, and more vocal about their needs and preferences. I agreed to mediation rather than court proceedings, and we met with a family counselor to discuss the options. The boys seem very well adjusted, the counselor noted after interviewing all of us separately. Tyler, you've done an excellent job maintaining stability and routine for them. Amanda, they clearly love you and want to spend more time with you. What do they want? Amanda asked. They want to feel like they have 2 real homes instead of 1 primary home and 1 visitation place. They want overnight visits with you to feel normal, not like special occasions. What would that look like practically? I asked. Perhaps alternating weeks instead of alternating weekends. The boys would spend 1 full week with each parent, changing over on Sundays. I looked at Noah and Ethan, who were sitting between Amanda and me. What do you guys think? We'd like to try it, Noah said, but we want some rules. What kind of rules? No more secrets, Ethan said firmly. If something important is happening, we want both of you to know about it. And no putting us in the middle of grown-up problems, Noah added. If you guys disagree about something, you have to work it out without us. Those are very good rules, the counselor said. Do you both agree to them? Amanda and I both nodded. There's one more thing, Ethan said. If Mom wants to live with Uncle Mike, that's okay. But we want to know the truth about it, not pretend it's something else. Amanda blushed. Boys, Uncle Mike and I aren't living together. But you might someday? I don't know, maybe. If you do, we want to meet him again as your boyfriend, not as your client, Noah said. We're old enough to understand the difference now. The wisdom of my 9-year-olds continued to amaze me. We agreed to try the alternating week schedule, with the understanding that either parent could request modifications if problems arose. Amanda also agreed to complete family therapy sessions focused on age-appropriate communication and boundary setting. The new custody arrangement worked well. The boys appreciated having substantial time with both parents, and Amanda seemed more relaxed without the constraints of limited visitation. She and Mike had indeed moved in together, and when the boys met him again 6 months later, it was as Amanda's boyfriend rather than as a family friend with mysterious business meetings. He's different now, Noah told me after their first dinner together. More honest, less trying to be our friend. Is that better? Yeah, we know where we stand with him now. And where do you stand? He's Mom's boyfriend. He's nice to us, but he's not trying to be our dad. That's better. Mike had learned some lessons too, apparently. 3 years after our divorce, I married Lisa Martinez in a small ceremony attended by both boys, my family, and close friends. Amanda attended with Mike, and there was no awkwardness or tension. We'd all moved forward. During the reception, I had a quiet moment with Amanda while the boys danced with Lisa. "They look happy," she said, watching Noah and Ethan spin around with their new stepmother. "They are happy. Lisa's good for them. And for you." "Thank you." "Tyler, I need to say something I should have said a long time ago." "Okay. I'm sorry. Not just for the affair, but for how I handled it. For involving the boys, for lying to you, for putting my wants ahead of their needs. I know you are. Do you forgive me?" I thought about that question. Did I forgive her? The anger was gone, replaced by indifference and occasionally by genuine concern for her well-being as the mother of my children. I'm not angry anymore, if that's what you're asking. That's something, I suppose. Amanda, we both learned from this experience. We're better parents now than we were before. Are we? Look at our sons. They're confident, honest, emotionally intelligent kids who handle difficult situations with maturity and grace. We must be doing something right. I think that's mostly you. It's both of us. Different roles, but both of us. She smiled, and for a moment I could see the woman I'd fallen in love with 15 years earlier. Then the moment passed, and she was simply Amanda, my co-parent and former wife, someone I'd once loved and now barely knew. I'm glad you're happy, Tyler. I'm glad you are too. And I was. Not because I was generous or magnanimous, but because happy, stable co-parents made better decisions for their children. Amanda's happiness served my son's interests, so I genuinely wanted her to find peace. 5 years after the divorce, Noah and Ethan were 12 years old and thriving. They split their time between 2 homes, 2 sets of parents, and 2 different family dynamics. They'd learned to navigate complex relationships with grace and honesty. Noah played competitive baseball and planned to try out for his middle school team. Ethan had discovered a talent for art and spent hours sketching elaborate fantasy worlds. Both boys maintained excellent grades and close friendships. One evening, as I helped Ethan with a history project about family immigration stories, he asked me about our family story. "Dad, for this project, I need to write about how our family changed over time. How do I explain about you and Mom?" "What do you want to say about it?" "I want to say that sometimes families change shape, but they don't break. We used to be one family in one house, and now we're one family in 2 houses." That's a good way to put it. And I want to say that even when adults make mistakes, families can figure out how to be okay again. Do you think our family is okay? Yeah, different, but okay. Maybe even better than okay. Why better? Because now everybody tells the truth, and nobody has to pretend or keep secrets. I hugged my 12-year-old son, marveling again at his insight. He was right. Our family was better than okay. We were honest, stable, and genuinely loving toward each other, despite the complicated history. That night, after both boys were in bed, I sat in my study looking through photo albums from their younger years. Pictures of birthday parties, vacations, family holidays. In many of the photos from the year before the divorce, I could see signs I'd missed at the time. Amanda's distracted expressions, the boys' slightly confused looks when we were all together. Lisa found me there and sat down beside me. "Regrets?" she asked gently. "No, just thinking about how much we've all grown. The boys are amazing." "They are. They've handled everything with such maturity. Because they had a father who prioritized their well-being over his own anger. I made plenty of mistakes too. Maybe. But you put them first when it mattered most." I closed the photo album. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I'd handled things differently, if I'd tried harder to save the marriage. You couldn't save a marriage that one person had already abandoned. I suppose not. Tyler, can I ask you something? Of course. Do you ever wonder if Amanda regrets her choices? I think she regrets the way she handled things. I don't think she regrets leaving the marriage. What about Mike? I think Mike learned that there are consequences for breaking up families, but I also think he genuinely loves Amanda, and she loves him. They're probably better suited for each other than she and I were. That's very mature of you. It's very practical of me. Amanda's happiness affects the boy's well-being, so I have a vested interest in her finding peace. Lisa smiled. You're a good man, Tyler Brooks. I'm a practical man who loves his children. Same thing. The next morning was a Sunday when the boys were with Amanda, so Lisa and I had a rare, quiet breakfast together. As we read the newspaper and drank coffee, my phone rang. Amanda. Tyler, I'm sorry to bother you, but I wanted to give you a heads up about something. What's going on? Mike proposed last night. Congratulations. Thank you. We're planning a small wedding this summer. The boys seem excited about it. Good. Tyler, we'd like your blessing. You have it. Really? Amanda, if Mike makes you happy and treats the boys well, then I support your marriage. He does make me happy, and he's learned a lot about being a step-parent. I'm glad. Would you and Lisa consider coming to the wedding? I looked at Lisa, who'd been listening to my side of the conversation. She nodded. We'd be honored to attend. Thank you. That means a lot. After I hung up, Lisa asked, How do you feel about that? Good, actually. The boys need to see that their parents can support each other's happiness. Even after everything that happened? Especially after everything that happened. Amanda and Mike paid a heavy price for their choices. They lost a lot. Business relationships, social standing, trust. If they've learned from those mistakes and built something genuine together, they deserve to be happy. And if they haven't learned, then they'll face the consequences of those choices too. But that's not my problem anymore. 6 months later, Lisa and I attended Amanda and Mike's wedding with Noah and Ethan. It was a small ceremony in Mike's backyard, attended by close family and a few friends. The boys served as ring bearers, proud to play an important role in their mother's new beginning. During the reception, Mike approached me while I was watching the boys play with their cousins. Tyler, thank you for being here today. Of course. I know this can't be easy for you. Actually, it's easier than I expected. Amanda looks happy. She is. We both are. I'm glad. Tyler, I want you to know that I'll never try to replace you as the boy's father. I understand my role, and I respect yours. I appreciate that. I also want you to know that I've learned from my mistakes. What happened between Amanda and me at the beginning? I'll never put children in that position again. Good. I hope someday you can forgive me for the way things started. Mike, I've moved past anger. I can't forgive you for involving my children in an affair, but I can accept that you've learned from your mistakes. That's more than I deserve. It's what my sons deserve, adults who've learned to make better choices. Thank you. I watched Mike walk back to Amanda, who was laughing with her sister near the wedding cake. They looked genuinely happy together, and that was the best outcome I could hope for. Not because I was particularly generous, but because my children deserved parents who had found peace. 7 years after our divorce, Noah and Ethan were 14 years old and preparing for high school. They'd grown into confident, honest young men who handled complex family dynamics with remarkable maturity. One evening, as we were planning their high school course selections, Noah asked me a question that caught me off guard. Dad, do you think you and Mom would still be married if she hadn't had the affair? I set down the course catalog and looked at both boys. They were old enough for honest answers to difficult questions. I don't know. We had problems in our marriage that went deeper than the affair. What kind of problems? We'd grown apart. We wanted different things. We'd stopped communicating honestly with each other. So the affair was a symptom, not the cause? Ethan asked. That's a very insightful way to put it. Yes, I think the affair was a symptom of problems that already existed. Do you think you would have figured out how to fix those problems? I don't know. Maybe not. Your mom needed something I couldn't give her, and I needed something she couldn't give me. But you and Lisa work really well together, Noah observed. We do, but Lisa and I are different people than Mom and I were when we got married. We've both learned a lot about what we need in a relationship. So maybe the divorce was actually good for everyone, Ethan asked. Maybe. It was certainly good for you boys in some ways. How? You learned that adults can make mistakes and recover from them. You learned that families can change shape without breaking. You learned that honesty is more important than avoiding difficult conversations. And we learned that you and Mom both love us enough to put our needs first, Noah added. Yes, that too. Do you think Mom learned those things too? I think so. She's a better mother now than she was 7 years ago. And Mike's a good stepdad. Is he? Yeah. He doesn't try to be our father, but he cares about us, and he makes Mom happy. That's what matters. Dad, are you happy you married Mom? Ethan asked. Of course I am. If I hadn't married your mother, I wouldn't have you boys. But do you regret the way things ended? I regret that it was painful for all of us, but I don't regret the outcome. We're all better people now than we were then. That night, after the boys had gone to bed, I reflected on our conversation. Were we all better people? I thought we probably were. Amanda had learned to be more honest and direct about her needs. Mike had learned about boundaries and consequences. I'd learned to prioritize what really mattered. And Noah and Ethan had learned lessons about integrity and resilience that would serve them well throughout their lives. Sometimes the end of one story is the beginning of several better ones. 10 years after our divorce, I attended Noah's high school graduation. At 17, he was headed to the University of Texas on a partial baseball scholarship, planning to study business and finance. Ethan, now a junior, had been accepted into an advanced art program and was considering careers in graphic design or architecture. Amanda and Mike sat a few rows away from Lisa and me in the graduation ceremony, all of us beaming with pride as Noah walked across the stage. After the ceremony, we all went to dinner together at Noah's favorite restaurant. I can't believe he's going to college, Amanda said, wiping away tears. It seems like yesterday that he was 7 years old, asking innocent questions about Uncle Mike's house. The reference to that time didn't sting anymore. It was simply part of our family history, no more painful than any other challenging chapter we'd weathered together. He's ready, I said. Both boys are incredibly mature for their age. They had good teachers, Mike said, looking at me. You showed them how to handle difficult situations with grace. We all showed them different things. That's what blended families do. They teach children that there are many ways to love and be loved. Dad, you're getting philosophical, Noah teased from across the table. Sorry, graduation makes me sentimental. Can I say something? Ethan asked. I wrote this for my English class and I want to read it to all of you. Of course, Amanda said. Ethan pulled out a folded piece of paper and cleared his throat. The title is What I Learned from My Parents' Divorce. He began reading. When I was 7 years old, my parents got divorced. At the time, I thought it was the worst thing that could happen to a family. I was wrong. My parents' divorce taught me that sometimes the kindest thing adults can do for each other is to stop trying to make something work that doesn't work anymore. It taught me that love isn't always enough to save a relationship, but it's always enough to save a family. I learned that honesty is more important than harmony. My family is much louder now than it was when my parents were married, but it's also much more honest. We argue sometimes, but we don't lie to each other anymore. I learned that there are many different ways to be a family. I have a dad who taught me about integrity and putting children first. I have a mom who taught me about forgiveness and second chances. I have a stepdad who taught me that earning someone's respect is more important than demanding it. And I have a stepmom who taught me that families can grow in beautiful directions. Most importantly, I learned that children are stronger than adults think they are. My brother and I survived our parents' divorce not just intact, but improved. We learned to navigate complex relationships, to communicate honestly about difficult topics, and to love people even when they've made mistakes. 10 years later, I can honestly say that our family is better now than it was before the divorce. Not because divorce is good, but because truth is better than deception, and authentic relationships are better than perfect facades. My parents taught me that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is let go of what you thought you wanted and embrace what actually serves everyone's best interests. That's a lesson I'll carry with me for the rest of my life. When Ethan finished reading, there wasn't a dry eye at the table. Even Mike was wiping away tears. "That's beautiful, son," I said, my voice thick with emotion. "It's the truth," he replied simply. "Yes, it is." Amanda reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "Thank you, Tyler, for handling everything the way you did, for putting the boys first. Thank you for learning to do the same." Lisa smiled at all of us. "This is what successful co-parenting looks like." "This is what love looks like," Mike added. "All different kinds of love, working together." That night, as Lisa and I drove home from dinner, I thought about the journey our families had taken over the past decade. From betrayal and deception to honesty and mutual support. From broken trust to rebuilt relationships. From one family to several interconnected families, all working together to raise two remarkable young men. "Do you ever regret how things worked out?" Lisa asked as we pulled into our driveway. "Never." "Even the painful parts?" "Especially the painful parts. Pain taught us all lessons we needed to learn." "And now?" "Now we're exactly where we're supposed to be." I looked at our house, Noah's baseball trophies visible through the window, Ethan's artwork hanging on the walls, family photos documenting our blended family's growth over the years. It looked like home. It felt like peace. Sometimes the best revenge is simply living well and loving better. We'd all learn to do both. The story that began with 7-year-old twins innocently revealing their mother's affair had evolved into something much more complex and ultimately more beautiful than any of us could have imagined. We'd learned that families don't break, they transform. And sometimes the transformation leads to something stronger than what came before. In the end, Uncle Mike's house had become just a memory, replaced by multiple homes filled with authentic love, honest communication, and the deep satisfaction that comes from choosing what's right over what's easy. That was the best revenge of all.